eCapitol News Director Sean Ashley joins us to talk about the events at the Capitol this week. Sean, while work is still continuing on the budget, the Republican leaders are now vowing to limit cuts on education.
Yes, that's correct. In the House of Representatives, House Speaker Jeff Hickman said that the leadership there was aiming at cuts of 5% or less for common education in the next budget. Keep in mind that this year we've seen education cut 7% like other state agencies, but they did get some of that money back with a rainy day fund appropriation. So when you look at their overall cuts so far, they're already down 2.34%. By cutting them no more than 5%, they would still have lost a fair amount of money compared to where they started at the beginning of the 2016 budget year, and that's going to be a problem for school districts across the state. Also keep in mind that by saying you're only going to cut education up to 5% in the coming year, that's going to place an additional weight or burden on other agencies who perhaps could see much larger cuts in order to preserve that education funding.
There was movement this week on the autism insurance bill.
Right. This is an issue that's been in and out of the Capitol for a number of years, and it's come back this year. This bill is much more limited than what has been proposed in the past. In simplest terms, it requires insurance providers to include coverage for autism spectrum disorders. But this bill, as I said, is much more limited. It limits it to the specific number of years in a young child's life, and it also limits the amount of benefits that are provided. In the Senate Appropriations Committee, an additional amendment was added to the bill, which indicated that if the cost of insurance premiums resulting from this additional mandate were to go up 1% or more, the mandate would go away. So it makes it very conditional. That concerned some members of the committee, and they voted against the bill, but the bill did pass the Senate Appropriations Committee and will now go to the Senate floor for consideration.
What do you expect to come up this next week?
This next week could be a very busy week. On one hand, it is a deadline week. Bills have to make it out of committee in order to continue through the process. Amazingly, nearly 300 bills have not been heard, or that are eligible to be heard in committee, had not been heard by the end of this week. But looking at the schedule for this week, I don't see 300 bills getting heard.
Yeah.
So we could see some measures fall by the wayside this next week.
All right. Sean Ashley, eCapitol News, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.